Welcome back, guys. This is Library of Orthanc, LOTR TCG YouTube channel. Got an interesting video today. Hopefully you guys have some interest in. I had a lot of fun making this deck, and what I wanted to do, and this is going to be the next few videos actually, is I wanted to showcase the decks from the PC Players Council Format Championships that just took place on GEMP. So what I actually did is I built these decks on paper, and so these are not as maybe fully pimped out as some of my other decks are, because I just used with extra cards that I had around. There'll be some foils, but not like some of the all foil decks that you see me feature. But yeah, so the main purpose of these videos is just as a deck tech. And so this is going to be a deck tech for the specific PC formats. And what that means is when I say PC format, it means that virtual cards are legal, as well as the problematic cards in the formats have been errataed by the PC, and so it's mandatory to use those PC errata. So what I do, being that I play on paper, is I just print out the errata, print out the V cards. They've got a great V-Kit tool that I'll link you to in the description if anyone is interested in playing this on paper. I'd really like to see that be the future of this game, is that people do use, you know, the virtual cards and the errata to actually play on paper. I think that'd be fantastic. So that's what I'm doing. But I'm just going to give you the deck tech here. Sorry for that little introduction, but this is the PC Fellowship Format Champion. So the actual World Championships are going to be coming up here in October, but in preparation for that, in the month of August, they ran what they called the Format Championships, which then this particular deck here is the PC Fellowship of the Ring Format Champion. So let me give a shout out to basmelis, if I'm saying that right. This is the creator of this deck, and so I'm just going to show it to you guys. So starting off with the Free People's side, this is an Elves and Men deck, but let me just show you your starting fellowship first. You're going to have Frodo the Reluctant Adventurer, of course, with Isildur's Bane, being that it's the fellowship format. And our starting fellowship is going to be Arwen and Legolas. Yes, I do have non-foil Legolas Greenleafs, believe it or not. But yeah, so there's your starting fellowship. Pretty typical Elf and Men starting fellowship there, but nice start. So you got 2 of your 3 elves for the last alliance condition already starting on the table. Then for your other companions, this uses Aragorn the King in Exile as your main Aragorn. So this is going to be focused on healing and on the Aragorn signet. So this is the Aragorn, for people who are not familiar. At the start of each of your turns, heal another companion who has the Aragorn signet. This is a beautiful foil, by the way, guys. Definitely a cheaper version of Aragorn, and a very nice foil. So Aragorn the King in Exile, 4 copies, for full playset. And then this is a nice card to feature. This is Boromir Redeemed. So this is actually a virtual card from VSet 1. And this is a very interesting design. So Boromir is strength +2 for each minion he's skirmishing. Kind of similar, I guess, to Éomer. Well, he's for each wound on each minion, but still similar idea, where if you can get minions on him. So he's a base 7, and if you get him Defender +1, then he's a base 9. And then he also has this effect. At the start of each assignment phase, you may exert another companion with the Aragorn signet to make Boromir Defender +1. So that's how you can get him with his Defender +1, so that he can get up to a 9. And then he could presumably skirmish, 17 power worth of minions and not be overwhelmed. And this, of course, works very nicely with exerting someone with the Aragorn signet. Works very well with Aragorn's ability of healing a companion with the Aragorn signet. So that's going to be the idea there. Is there's some really nice synergy. There's just 1 copy of this, so we're not going all in on that strategy, but it's fun to see the PC cards be put to work here. And then as far as splash companions, we do have Merry Friend to Sam. Sam, son of Hamfast. This is the second round errata of this card by the PC, so if you're not familiar with this, they've further nerfed Sam because he's just such a broken speed bump burden removal card. So his new effect is exert Sam and another companion to remove a burden. That's similar to what the last one was, but then they added this that says, then exert Sam again unless you can spot 2 Hobbit allies or Rosy Cotton. So kind of the idea is, that's a lot of words, but mechanically how that works is if you're throwing him down as a speed bump, the first time you exert him, you can exert him to remove a burden, but then he gets exerted again. And then the second time you exert him, you remove a burden, and then by that point he'll be exhausted, and then the exert again won't even come into play. So essentially, you exert him 3 times to remove 2 burdens. In addition to that, you also are going to need to exert another companion 2 times. So the end result basically is you'll get 2 exertions on Sam, 2 exertions on another companion, and that will remove 2 burdens. So that's kind of the where they've left this now. So obviously still worth playing one just to keep the burdens under control if you need to, and always can be your alternate ring bearer. I shouldn't say alternate ring bearer if Frodo dies. So then you have Haldir just in there to be another elf as needed. Decent splash companion. And for our allies, we do have a full playset here of Elrond, Herald to Gil-galad. Obviously, anyone who's played Fellowship format knows this card is just great for healing and really does a lot of work. And Galadriel, Lady of the Goldenwood. This is also an errata. The errata here just is that it only works when you're behind for the site removal, or excuse me, for the site replacement. So all it will do is it will replace opponent's sites that are already on the table. You can't just play the next site if you're the one in the lead. So we'll look at our site path, but it is interesting. Very few cards in the Fellowship block interact with the site path, but this is one of them. And then we have the Bounder. I think you guys all know what that's for. Thrarin, again, just to throw in front of people. And then into our weapons, possessions, we have Ranger Sword and Gorn's Bow. Again, never leave home without these if you're playing Aragorn. And armor. One thing I will note, armor is of course fantastic on Aragorn with Uruk-Hai, but that Boromir will be huge wearing an armor because then he takes no more than 1 wound. So if you can put a couple Uruk-Hai on him, being defender +1, the damage +1 bonuses all get erased when you fight multiple, because does not take more than 1 wound means does not take more than 1 wound. It doesn't matter how many people he's fighting or how many +X damage they are. He doesn't take more than 1 wound. So that's a nice combo there. But of course, armor is fantastic. I'd recommend playing 2 even. Flaming Brand then. This is also an errated version. It's still strong against Nazgul, just not strong as it once was. I'm not going to read this all to you guys, but you can kind of see what the errata version is there. So we do have 3 of those. One thing, of course, to note right away is it does actually cost now to play Flaming Brand. But you can still play it in addition to 1 other weapon, so that's great. Then we do have Gwemagol for Arwen. If you've ever played this, guys, don't underestimate the cycling ability of this. With even though you have to discard 2 cards to get the strength +1, sometimes you just want to discard those cards. So even if Arwen is not skirmishing, just use this to dump some cards. And Sting, of course, also PC errata, just making it a little more fair for not removing so much Twilight for orcs. Athelas, this is just for some healing, just a nice solo healing card. Or I should say we got 2 copies of it, but doesn't require pipe weeds or smoking, anything like that. You just play it, heal, smooth and easy, works on anyone. And our last card we have is Galaran's Memorial. Again, this deck is just full of burden removal. I don't know if they're is some concern in this format about, you know, Nazgul or whatever getting some burdens on you, but this deck is very well suited to remove burdens because they also have this virtual card, which this kind of has the same type of effect to Sam, but it has the effect of exert a companion with the Aragorn signet to remove a burden, then discard this artifact or exert Aragorn. Again, I think why this is probably in here is because you have so much healing of the people with the Aragorn signet that this is kind of a good secondary way to remove burdens, or maybe even this is the primary way and Sam is your secondary, but just got one of that in there, and it's a support area artifact and only costs 1, so it can't hurt you too much to throw it down and cycle. And yeah, just a beautiful, beautiful virtual card there by the Players Council. Oh. Well, duh. I was saying the deck was done, but of course we do have, you know, a few more things here, being that we have to play the last alliance of Elves and Men, being that's an Elves and Men deck. This is what it's named after. You get your 3 elves down, you put this condition down on a man, a Gondor man, and it is strength +3. So that's fantastic. We got a couple of those in there. And then we've got a couple secret sentinels. Actually, that's one thing unique on this deck. Usually you only see a couple secret sentinels. This deck is going all out, saying keep those conditions off the table, and I'm going to play a 4 full play set of secret sentinels. So that is the Free People's side of the deck. Let me run through the shadow with you guys now. We're going to just combine this into one video because we've got to make a few of these with the different formats. So again, this is PC, same format, same deck. This is PC Fellowship, and the evil side is Uruk-Hai. I won't spend too much time on this because I think you guys all know how to play Uruk-Hai. I'll just give you a little bit of the differences between this Uruk-Hai deck and what a standard Fellowship Uruk-Hai deck might be. So one thing you'll notice with this deck, again, this player went all in with Lurts and said, hey, I'm going to really make this a Lurts deck and play a full play set of Lurts, where sometimes you'll even see as small as just 1 copy. We've got the full play set here. And quite frankly, he is a very good card, so I think that may be a good choice. I'll be interested to try this out. Then for the next, just kind of your Uruk-Hai, you've got the Troop of Uruk-Hai, of course. Again, full play set of those, very good against anyone with weapons. And then a couple randoms here in the Orthanc Assassin, Orthanc Berserker. Full play set of lieutenants. I always love the lieutenant. +1 for each other Uruk-Hai you can spot, and very inexpensive. And then captain for discard pile recursion. Saruman, Keeper of Isengard. So this, I believe, was the second version errata of this too, where they actually walked back the first errata and made this a little more playable. So similar to before, cannot take archery wounds during the archery phase and may not be assigned to a skirmish. And he has the effect exert Saruman to make an Uruk-Hai fierce until the regroup phase. So they don't just natively have fierce off of him. You have to exert Saruman to do that. The nice thing, though, too, is he still has the same ability. If Saruman is about to take a wound, discard or exert Saruman to prevent that wound. The very interesting part there is the discard. That's a very unique effect. Exert to prevent, that's kind of normal. But the discard part, what that means is, let's say that I exerted my Saruman to death to make 3 different Uruk-Hai fierce. I shouldn't say exerted to death, but exerted to exhaustion 3 times to make 3 Uruk-Hai fierce. What I could then do is, if one of those is about to take a wound, I can just discard this Saruman off the table, since he's exhausted anyway, discard him off the table, and then be able to play another copy. So I do have 3 copies of that. I think you could go up to 4 with this new discard clause, honestly, but I'd have to play it out. And then we do have 1 Lurtz's Sword, just a fun thing to throw in there when you're going all in on the 4 Lurtz's. The only errata here is just that the PC kind of did a global errata on all discarding cards, so they just always give you an option now between discarding or doing something else, just so that someone can't force you to discard. That's all that is, but otherwise it functions as expected and gets Lurtz up there just huge on the damage. Then our standard Saruman's Ambition. And don't underestimate this, guys. This gets better now that savagery actually has a cost to it. So you want to use these a little more sparingly and keep them on the table to help you play your savageries at a discounted price. Because, don't forget the twilight cost of your events is -1. That's definitely relevant, or I should say more relevant when you're playing the PC format with the PC errata. So this is the second version of savagery. Cost 2. If you have 2 Saruman's ambitions down, it's free. And then similar first effect, make it strength +2 if you can spot 5 companions. Also make it fierce and an additional strength +2 until the regroup phase. So again, not as broken as it once was, but definitely a much more fair, palatable version of this card, but still very much worth playing. And like I said, I think the only thing you play differently here is, maybe be more sparing with your Saruman's ambitions so that you can play these more cheaply, because we are playing a full play set of those. And then I'm a big fan of this card. Sometimes you don't see it played as a full play set of 4, but this deck does. It's the Abandoning Reason for Madness. It just really helps you cycle your cards. So I'm a huge fan of playing that. And again, guys, don't forget that's free if you have the Saruman's Ambition on the table. This deck definitely is saying no to armor. Sometimes you'll see a copy of Beyond the Height of Men in here. This deck actually goes with 2 copies of Beyond the Height of Men. So that's the one that discards armor, and if you spot 6 companions, discards all of the armor. This one is very common to see. Only 1 copy in this deck, though. Saruman's Power. Just get rid of all conditions. Again, being if you want to keep your conditions on the table more now, I see why you back down to maybe only a single copy of this. So, lastly, we have our site path. I'll just run through that very briefly here. So, the one thing I said to look out for is forests for that Galadriel, but of course we have Prancing Pony to get our Aragorn. And then here's some forests with the Breeland Forest and just a very low twilight cost there. And Rivendell Waterfall. This one's neat in a ranger deck. You can get a +1 move and go all the way from 3 to 6 if it's possible. Maybe difficult, but it's at least on the table. Hollin for Uruk-Hai. Bridge of Khazad-dum, because you have to in this format. And this is a virtual card as well, the Lorien Throne Room. Very beautiful. Kind of looks like the Karis Galadhan, but lit up. But either way, it is a forest with your Galadriel, and it also, since you have some exert abilities, each time a companion exerts here, you may exert an elf ally to heal the companion. So that way you can exert Elrond or Galadriel to actually do a little extra healing. So that's a nice effect. Anduin Wilderland. Also a forest. Skip the archery phase. It's good for Uruk-Hai. And Gates of Argonath. And finally, of course, for Site 9, Slopes of Amon Hen for those Uruk-Hai. So there is our site path. Well, guys, thanks for watching the video here. Had fun building these decks. Let me just, since this is going to be a combined video, while I finish talking to you guys, I'm just going to set out a little thumbnail for myself here of some cards I want to show off in the video here. So there's kind of, I'd say, our starting fellowship, and then some of our key cards for the shadow side. So guys, yeah, definitely let me know if you enjoyed these videos. I know this one was a little bit longer with just the introduction to what I was doing here, but just let me know if you like the deck tech videos, and specifically the PC format deck tech videos. I'm hoping to make this format more accessible to people who don't understand as much about what is a V card, what is an errata, why does it make sense to do those. So I think the Players Council is doing fantastic work. I'm trying to help spread the word a little bit here, as well as get people to use these on paper. I think it's definitely a fun thing to do, and I'm sure there's tons of people out there with their Uruk-Hai decks. Super easy just to slam a few virtual Saruman and savageries in there and give it a go in a little more fair of a format. So thanks for listening, guys. See you next time.